You like my UV glasses? I found them in a box of like donations with a garnish of cat hair. It wasn't covered in cat hair. I don't want to overstate cat hair.
Across there.
Oh, look at her nice outfit. Scoozy. I'm looking at another reason why I can't have a job or a career. Because if I made like digital toys that go using AR over a picture book for children, this tired cliche would be further offended. See this tired ass cliche? Who knows what international economies are reliant on that bored buttocks. So the idea was that after we make the picture book and kickstart the picture book, then I need a better word for natural. It's only natural that after the Kickstarter, even though Kickstarter is digital, so it's only natural that after the Kickstarter that we would form an ongoing Patreon so that people who bought the book in real life, or who bought the cheapest version of the book, or who bought the poster or the collector's card, it's like a poster but it's a card, would have the option to keep paying on a monthly basis to get new stuff and to kind of connect with other people who like the same stuff. That's the premise of most of the consumer-based entertainment, the consumer-based independent internet, the consumer-based, the independent internet, consumer-based entertainment, something like that. So it's only natural, although the word natural is kind of weird to be there, that a Kickstarter would then turn into a Patreon. And then from within the patronage, from within the patronage, we would recruit 2 3D modelers to take the watercolor paintings and the drawings and to make them a digital product. Not to go too deep on developmental costs, simply to take the pictures that are in the picture book and some of the concept art, or some of the art left in the cutting room floor, so to speak, as they say. Jargon and semantics and lingo and slang. And have like an ongoing, have content to deliver digitally to the patrons, the patronage, to the Patrio. No, the onage. I think she would like to stand right there so that I can go right there. Anyway. So I heard that you hate that you are forced to simulate biological existence. So I put a simulated biological existence in your simulated biological existence so that you can hate hating while you simulate hating biological functionally as a biology. That's one of the early internet memes. I think that's actually a true meme and not a macro, because the meme is the thing that keeps going. So, and then, once we're delivering the 3D models that are skinned in watercolor painting images that are continuing to be produced by the watercolor painter and myself, who are working together to make images that have watercolor paint, then from within the patronage, we would find 2 3D animators to animate the models. And then when whatever software that is available to deliver these 3D models and put them on people's phones, whatever AR app that we can license to do that for us is not enough, then after we have the 2 3D animators, after the 2 3D modelers, then the idea was to recruit an Unreal Engine software engineer and a Unity Engine software engineer to work with what we already have to produce interactivity to develop our own AR app with some licensed software modules. And then by that time we would have expanded our fan base, so that way the team has an opportunity to develop together. So that way we could go to Spokane, and when this idea first came together, the phraseology was dying on a hill. That's when you go do something that you believe in, or you stand for something that you believe in, or you stand for something that is true, when everyone is telling you that that's not like an orange, yellow, yellow, orange with a navy blue, faded black, navy blue. Or when someone says that is not questionably real, that might be a real bush or it might be plastic, and you say, well, it might be plastic or it might be real, but I believe that it's close to both, and you don't really know until you check it out and see if it, and you go, okay. It's an opinion that is found contemptuous in the hearts of the contemptuous. So, then, I had forgotten about that part, the back end part of it, not the back end of delivery, but the last couple of stages of that team, and that the last couple of stages were having our own fans and having something to show for ourselves when we go to Cyan. I'd forgotten about that. And I did not know that the interpretation that I was being bombarded with was the idea that Christianity is supposed to leave you popped out of the butt of God in a world that is not for you, because it's God, for God so loved the world. So everything that you have ever known, and your entire personality that you're supposed to be separated from, everything you have ever known and everything that has ever developed your personality, that you are supposed to identify with your personality and separate your personality or your soul or your actual real, I don't want to call it a self, that you're supposed to separate it from everything that has developed your personality and your decision-making processes. That way, you're completely disenfranchised and have no actual reason for existing and no decision-making processes or decision-making mechanisms and no values that can be applied to anything that you have ever known or anything that you will ever see, because everything that you have ever known and everything that you will ever see is not for you. It's for some 800 BC warlord. That's one interpretation for the Bible. You like that interpretation of the Bible? That you have the verse, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. And then by the time you get to the point that I'm talking about, you're like, what am I supposed to do with all of this? Or what is all of this? And it's like, oh, well, none of this is for you because it's for God. That's why God didn't do it for you. God did it for the world. You're free, but you have freedom. That way you're nothing but a biological imperative. You like that? That you don't have nothing to do except biological functions? You like that? That's one interpretation of the Bible. That's why when I was raised in my late 20s through the internet culture and all of the artist communities, that's why when I offered them a Boku opportunity, that there was no enfranchisement, because the general consensus was, don't you know that in 2010 to 2014 that you're not supposed to think that your friends who are art college graduates and who grew up in America and who are creative and who are unenfranchised, don't you know that when you offer them the premium or the perfect or the fermented or the pickled or the culturally appropriate or don't you know that when you say, hey guys, I'm friends with the CEO and we can work together to make a picture book and then kickstart it, and then we can recruit some team members and then strengthen that team and then go to Spokane and pitch a bunch of stuff with our own fans. Don't you? And then all your friends they scatter and leave, and your last friend, don't you know that's so, it's kind of a joke, but it's not really funny. Yeah, well, Rick and Morty did an episode that was not that good, but it was very, very bold in its cultural adaptations of like Easter and Christianity, and the idea that when you kill the Easter bunny that you become the Easter bunny. That was an idea taken from Santa Claus, and I wondered, or we all wondered, why in the world or world adjacent would you become Santa Claus if you killed Santa Claus? And the answer is, well, everyone knows that everyone that goes to college knows that apotheosis is not what happens at the end of Gears of War. Apotheosis is not what happens at the end of God of War. Apotheosis is what happens when you find yourself like a hippie. And none of that dialectic or none of that verbosity really has ever served me. I've never really dug this word apotheosis. It sounds too much like apostate. And also the idea of God is dead, right? Nietzsche, when the college goats destined for fucking hell without fucking. When they said that God was dead, I was like, yo, I thought you were college students. I thought you like read Greek myth and stuff. Saying God is dead is like saying that dinner is served, or next up is, it's like a stage in the, it's like when you say God is dead, it's like, okay, that we're not even done with the movie yet. We're not even done with the story yet. The story arc is like, that's 1/3 of the way through the story arc, or 2/3 of the way through the story arc, or whatever. I thought you were supposed to be college educated. Why are you saying God is dead like that means anything other than something to the story, and the story goes on, and then God is a God. You know, if you kill a plant, it might not come back. It might. I mean, if it has seeds, haha. But if you kill a plant or a person, they might not come back, but they might. Even a person or a plant could potentially come back from death, and you're acting like the character that's defined by the character that's defined by his preeminence over all of the forces and experiences of nature. It never really jived with my cultural understanding of anything, let alone my cultural understanding of the world or people. Anyway, have you heard of this sauerkraut from Siberia? They make it out of seaweed. I don't want to mispronounce the name, so I'm not going to say it. Have you heard of this sauerkraut that they make in Siberia out of seaweed? Okay, bye.